Welcome to Fandom Post Radio. This is 2022. You have finally finished listening to our last episode. Welcome, guys, to a great new year we got here. I'm Kestrel.
A great new year. Now let's talk about last season.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you know, it took you guys... we're still here in November 2021, but you guys were listening to our last episode for the past several months, so figured we'd give you some time. Yeah, hey, I'm Kestrel. We are here with the world-famous DJ Horn, a.k.a. DJ No Style, a.k.a. Celibus, creator of Lessons in Love.
That is me. I'm like an E-list celebrity. Like, I don't count. I don't matter. I'm here for the podcast. I'm not here to advertise world-famous visual novel Lessons in Love, now at 1.1 million words.
However,
I think you need at least one more AKA if you're going to move up the celebrity ladder.
There's probably at least one more, right? God, I don't know. Whatever your fans call you.
Celibus, normally.
Yeah, well, I already said that one. Yeah, next up we have, now voiced by Chris Pratt, we have Cain.
Hello, hello, hello.
And our very special guest this episode, Brandon.
Hello, y'all. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we got a bunch of new shows to talk about from fall 2021, but we also have the entire month of October in news and a few other things from the end of September. So yeah, we'll get into some news. Unfortunately, the first several news stories are all terrible, so I guess I will kind of group them all together and we can talk about them. So French Tickner, who is the English voice of Watari in Death Note, Kayume's grandpa in Inuyasha, and Dozle Zabi in Mobile Suit Gundam, died on his 91st birthday. Takao Saito, the creator of Golgo 13, which he wrote and illustrated for over half a century in more than 200 volumes, died at age 84. The composer of the entire Dragon Quest series, Koichi Sugiyama, died at age 90. And one that hits me closest is Christopher Ayres, died at age 56.
Oof.
Aside from Christopher Ayres, those are all some long-living folks.
Yeah, at least that's good for those three. They made it relatively late in life.
Were they all working by that time? I know we briefly talked about Golgo. I don't know if it was in the last episode or if it was just outside of it where the gentleman was kind of working on it at that point. I mean, he was, 91, you said, or something, in his 80s at least?
Yeah, 90.
So I think he was just drawing
84.
the face.
84.
He was just drawing like the faces or something to that effect. I think that's what Kate may have said, but
yeah, it's never quite clear how a mangaka splits work up with their editors, but it's probably safe to assume that at that point he was probably just doing the character art and the editors were kind of doing the rest. But he did specifically leave a plan for his editors to take over the series for him because he didn't want it to die with him.
It's weird that it's gone on so long because I mean, I've seen the anime portions of it. I've never read it, but I've seen Golgo 13, the series, and there's the professional. I think that may just be it, or at least that's what is well known. And sometimes it feels like it's both. It could go on for eternity, and also, how could you keep doing this? Because it is episode.
Yeah,
sorry, what were you going to say?
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Is it entirely episodic?
Pretty much, yeah. It's Golgo goes from job to job, killing folks in various ridiculous ways, and then sleeps with some women while never smiling or showing any emotion whatsoever, and then he moves on. That's kind of the gist. There are recurring characters and things like that, but to my knowledge from watching it, now it's been a while, there was never any real overarching storyline or plot or anything. It was just Golgo gets paid to do this thing, he goes and does this thing, he bangs a lady, and then he leaves. That's basically how that goes.
Boom. 50 years of content. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. 200 volumes.
Well, exactly. You could theoretically keep doing that forever.
It's true, yeah. As long as you don't run out of ideas, yeah.
Yeah, as long as if that's what people want, and that's evidenced by them reading it and buying your material, then why not keep just coming up with weird bad guys and, you know, other shit. So yeah, that works for me. I mean, I know we talked about it briefly in the last episode, I think, because did somebody put it on their list, didn't they?
Yeah, Darius had The Professional pretty high up on his list.
Yes, I couldn't remember if it was Darius or just like a call-in list, like a sent-in list. But, I mean, he hit the nail on the head pretty well about its, like, technical proficiency and how the rifles work and all that other stuff. The tone is definitely unique in a way, in that everyone wants to be around Golgo, but Golgo doesn't really talk or smile or laugh or really do much of anything, but yet everybody wants to be around him all the time.
So he's a harem protagonist, is what you're saying?
But worse, because he's not even generic, he's scowling.
Right. Nice.
So it's not even like he has that typical harem protagonist where his hair covers most of his face, so you don't even see any, like, noses or discernible facial features. He has a very short haircut, I think a big nose and an enormous scowl.
Right.
And people love it. So yeah, that's a sad one, but I'm glad that he left that succession plan in a way to keep it going, at least as long as that plan rolls out. Now, who knows how long that is, but if the people still can read it, I guess that's a good sign. Like, that he wanted to keep working on it, and I guess it must have been a passion. I don't know what his financial situation was like, because part of me is like, he was still working on it, that's cool, and the other part was, he was 84, why was he still working on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he was passionate about it. You know, do something like that for over 50 years and not have a strong passion, so I'm sure he didn't need the money that much.
Say a strong passion or strong bills.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a series too that like should have really taken off in the West, but I don't know. I guess a lot of that old school stuff doesn't transition well with new age anime fans. It just feels like it fits the mold for like Western fans of things like James Bond, and just like there's so many gun nuts here. Like it would be hard to think that there isn't a market for it here, but I don't know. Sometimes things have a weird upsurge posthumously, so we'll see, I guess. I don't really see it taking off unless like Viz or somebody like picks it up for like actual publishing here, but
yeah, and like nobody's gonna license 200 volumes at this point.
No.
Yeah, it definitely has a that feel. Yeah, it's like a mix between Dirty Harry and like a James Bond, because he scowls all the time and resorts to violence all the time. But yeah, I think that's a good point, and that makes me wonder too why it didn't necessarily catch on. But maybe it was just sort of ahead of its time in that way, because when it came out, I'd have to look up the year, but I think this was still when like the bigger anime were like Gundam and Yamato and big like swooping space ballads or comedies, and nobody over here was maybe looking for that feel because they had the movies like Dirty Harry and stuff, and they were like, oh, this is an anime and it's adult and stuff. So maybe that's kind of what held it back. I'm not sure. I bet Darius would know that, or at least would have a better idea than me or most people.
You know, the manga predates Dirty Harry, just to put that out there.
That's cool.
Yeah. 1968 is when that started. It's been going ever since.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's crazy. I can't even comprehend that.
Yeah.
So the one I wanted to kind of talk about is the Dragon Quest composer. I heard some crazy stuff about this guy that I did not realize.
Much more controversial figure.
Yeah. So like when I started seeing threads about people after he died, being like, yeah, good riddance and all this stuff. I was like, shit, what's going on with this guy? But after reading about it, I guess it really makes sense why people felt that way.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, he did compose incredible music for an iconic series for 35 years. That's one of the few series of its kind that never really changed staff. Like, it was pretty much the main staff all the way through. But yeah, some questionable things about his character.
Mm-hmm. I even heard some people say that, like, his tenure as the person making the music held back the series just because it had, like, would never change all those years. And I understand that criticism. I'm not a huge fan of the series myself. I really haven't played any of them, but I don't know. Japan has this thing with, like, that pedigree of, like, keeping everything the same and in line. I don't know. So it's weird.
I mean, I can see that, but that's kind of Dragon Quest's signature, is that nothing ever changes. So, you know, you're basically playing the same game that you were 35 years ago. It just looks modern, but everything about, like, the game design and character design and music is all basically the same. And, you know, I go to Final Fantasy if I want the reverse of that, where everything changes dramatically every game, and nobody who was working on it at the beginning is still working on it and stuff like that. So, yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I feel like with 35 years of that music, whoever they get to replace him is probably going to make their music sound kind of like him. I don't think they're going to have that much of a departure, but we'll see.
Yeah.
No, they're transitioning to sludge metal.
There was a weird thing with the last main title where the original release of it had, like, shitty electronic music instead of the regular orchestra score, and then the special edition got the orchestra score in it. So yeah, that was weird.
Wasn't the special edition, like, on the Switch originally?
Yeah, it was originally only for the Switch, and then they eventually brought it over onto all the other systems. So I
remember Kay talking about that because she was mad because the Switch version got the good music and it's the weakest console.
Right. So I waited until the PS4 got the good version and then just got that. And then played a small fraction of it and never touched it again, because that's what I do with video games.
I'm glad you made that joke, because I was going to.
Yes, I mean, it's not a joke. That's what happens.
My classic experience with JRPGs. Love it.
Yeah, it's so long. Dragon Quest games are so long.
I guess, like, Dragon Quest 12 was teased as, like, a quote-unquote adult Dragon Quest game, so who knows? Maybe sludge metal's not too far off the base there. We will see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. I was done with my idea.
Okay. Yeah, so obviously Chris Ayres, much younger man, someone who's been struggling with really bad health issues for quite a few years now. So yeah, I've met him a lot of times. I haven't had as much of like a relationship with him as his brother, but we've definitely hung out at conventions with both of them. And yeah, he was just the nicest guy, the most genuine guy that you could possibly imagine. And of course, in the past 10 years, people have been really recognizing his incredible voice acting through taking over the role of Frieza. But he's really had an amazing range all throughout his career, just from like the highest pitch to lowest, deepest voices and every weird Frieza-esque in between. And he was also like the most active ADR director for a long period of time, and he had been doing that for many years in the Houston area as well. And he would, write all the dubs that he directed as well. He didn't like to cast himself in his dubs, but yeah, through all the different projects throughout the Houston studios and Funimation, he definitely got a lot of chances to shine and show off just how talented he was in all those different jobs. And he just always stayed just so humble and so nice to everyone. So yeah, rough to hear that one come to pass, but yeah.
It's a bummer.
If
And
there was like if I had to attribute me getting into like wanting to work in the anime industry to one person, it would be him, because he was like I go to every like ADR script writing, ADR directing panel and all of that, and he was just a wealth of information and so kind about giving it and encouraging. And it's like he was just the one dude that was like, you know what, I can do it, this is possible. And he'll be missed dearly. It sucks that it had to happen like this.
Yeah.
it still boggles my mind that he was still doing voice work, even going through all that stuff. Like the fact that he did voice lines for the Broly movie and stuff while he was like down bad, like that is crazy to me.
Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up. I meant to mention that for the Broly movie, which has a lot of intense Frieza screaming, he recorded the whole thing while needing to put his oxygen tank back on in between takes.
Whew. Damn.
Man, you would never know.
I know,
right?
He did an incredible job. Like that role, like even like the guys at Kanzenshu who have hated all Dragon Ball dubs for eternity are like, man, I could listen to Chris Ayres' Frieza all day. He's just incredible. He's like Ryusei Nakao in English, or even better. It's just absolutely.
So is there a plan to just maybe like get his brother to do Frieza now, or because I mean Frieza's definitely not going away.
Yeah,
especially with the new movie coming out, and I don't know if I don't know if Frieza's in it because I haven't been paying attention, but I'm assuming yes because Frieza's in everything now.
Yeah.
You know what's a weird coincidence that I didn't plan certainly either time. I'm wearing a Frieza shirt today, and I also was the day that it was announced that he died. But anyway, he was working with Damon Mills as an understudy when his health started to get bad, and Damon actually voiced Frieza for like the second half of Super, and all the video games, starting with like I guess Fighters, so I guess not that many yet, but he had been taking over that role, and Broly was actually the exception where they got Chris back to do the lines.
Yeah, well, I think Fighters, unless you count Xenoverse 2, or like if there are some other games, maybe like cell phone games, I don't know, that has been the newest one.
Right, yeah. So yeah, I think Fighters and the last half of Super was the main stuff where Damon was voicing Frieza. But yeah, it was already, under consideration that at the very least, Chris probably wouldn't be able to scream for the amount of time that Frieza demanded in hundreds of episodes and countless video games.
If the amount of time really that any Dragon Ball Z character demands for screaming.
Right.
Because there's tons of those outtakes of Sean Schemmel passing out.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I think for some other roles, I could definitely see Craig taking them on. They have a similar quality. I certainly think that they don't have that much really overlap where one would pass as the other very easily. But I think for certain roles in Chris's register, Greg could probably fake it decently well. He did voice the Universe 6 version of Frieza in the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 arc.
Frost?
Frost, yeah. So that was a little fun bit of casting. Yeah. But we'll see what happens with other roles that he had that might get reprised. I know he had a role in Full Metal Panic, which he reprised in the new season of that, so that was also pretty recent. That was probably around the time of Broly. Yeah, I don't know how many others might come up, but Frieza's the big one, and that was already taken care of. Right.
Indeed.
And French Tickner, he was a pretty iconic Ocean Group voice for old men for many years. So, again, he made it to his 90s. Sucks that he died on his birthday, but yeah, definitely another voice that will be missed. All right, next piece of news. Now we got some good news, some new seasons of stuff announced. So we have Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Die Neue These, Season 3 has been confirmed for March. So this is going to be similar to the previous season, where it is being done as a movie trilogy first, and then that's being split up into episodes to air on TV. What's interesting is that the last season was 3 features split into 12 episodes, and this one's going to be 3 features split into 24 episodes. So I don't know if the movies are all going to be twice as long, but that's kind of weird.
That's interesting.
How long are they now?
I definitely watched, but
so they were like, 24 episode, like 3 24 episode series. Sorry, 4 24 episode 24-minute episodes. Jesus Christ. 4 24-minute episodes per movie before. So there's still going to be, I assume, 24-minute episodes, and there's going to be 24 of them now. So I don't know how they're going to make that work in 3 movies unless the movies are twice as long.
That's crazy.
They're just going to pad it with a lot of staring off screen.
I mean, it's like, like the previous season, I don't think they changed a single thing from the movies to the series. They were designed so that the movies could be cut up into episodes. So,
I always found that interesting about, because I feel like not a lot of other media does this, but like anime has this thing with like splitting up feature films and television and vice versa. So I guess we can bring this back up later, because I want to talk about that with the Demon Slayer train arc and stuff. But I always find it fascinating, and I'm never sure which one's supposed to be the one to watch, because for some series they're like, oh, watch Mobile Suit Gundam as the original, or like watch the 3 movies, and then there's plenty that
that's the only one.
Yeah, and then everyone else, it's been backwards. It's like, oh no, watch the television release, and it's like, okay, I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, I think generally you always watch the first one, because the other one is just going to be a re-edit, except the original Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah. Which I watched through a few months ago, the original series, so whatever. I'll watch the movies eventually too.
I like them both.
Yeah.
I'd say they're both enjoyable. I think the movies offer a better experience, but also there is no English dub.
Oh.
There is an English dub. It's just not released currently. Yeah, that was actually... So
then effectively there is no English dub.
I just want to point out, there was an English dub of those movies long before there was ever any Canadian casts for any Gundam. And Steve Bloom played Char.
Oh my god.
Weird. Glad that thing didn't get out.
Wow. That's crazy.
Just like when he was Goku that one time.
That's true. Even weirder.
Wait, I didn't even know that happened. What was that for? Like a movie?
Was that Final Bout? It was one video game.
Oh, okay.
He told me he was in it for Kai for a little. Because I asked him that one time. I asked him at a convention here in Lancaster County when he was here kind of promoting the Star Wars Rebels or whatever, and some other stuff. I asked him, if you could go back and not do any role, what would it be? Essentially, because I said this was a couple years ago, but I was like, we're already kind of approaching where everything's being remade, and there are a bunch of revivals of video games and shows and things like that. But if you were offered the part to replay of any show that or movie you'd ever done, which one would you turn down? And he said Goku.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm definitely not aware if I'm doing anything for any version of Kai, because I don't know what that would have been. But yeah, he voiced Goku in Dragon Ball GT Final Bout, the PlayStation game.
Maybe he didn't do a super great job of trying to delete it from his memory. Because he told me Kai when we were talking about it. But either way, yeah, he was Goku for a little, and he would not do that again, is what he said. And I don't blame him. Not that he's bad, but also that's Sean Schemmel's iconic sort of deal. And then you're going to be the person that steps in and tries to do it also.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because Sean Schemmel is iconic to us, but if you go an hour north of me, everyone in Canada has very different Gokus, some of which we had before we had Sean Schemmel. So, yeah. Dragon Ball dubbing is interesting. Because
Dragon Ball's home media history is interesting.
Yeah, because Goku has had one Japanese voice actor and maybe 2 dozen English voice actors. So yeah,
I imagine that's the same with Gohan or similar, because isn't the actor who does Goku also does Gohan in Japan?
Yep. And Goten and Bardock and Tullus and everyone.
That entire family.
Yeah, everyone in Goku's family or anyone who kind of looks like Goku, she voices at every age. Yep. Well, I don't know how we got on that tangent, but next new season of an old series that was announced, Cain spoiled this last time, but the Prince of Tennis 2 anime gets a U17 World Cup TV series in 2022. It is the first TV series in 10 years, and it reunites the cast and the Hyote versus Rikai Game of Future staff.
Yeah, I'm stoked. 2022 is going to be either a good year or a really shit year for sports anime, depending on how this goes. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. Can't wait. I'll probably even buy like whatever streaming service it's on if it doesn't come to like Funimation or whatever.
Yeah, it'll be on like High Dive or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Funimation just licensed all of Prince of Tennis and streamed all of it and even dubbed some of it. So I think you're pretty much guaranteed to get it on Funimation. Might be some other places as well.
Plot twist, Netflix original anime.
Yeah. You know, I noticed they're not putting original on all their acquired stuff anymore. It just says a Netflix series now.
Yeah, they do that with Blue Period.
Yeah, they do it with all their stuff currently.
They just added Cowboy Bebop. Did it say it on that?
They probably didn't even say a Netflix series on that, because usually they only do it for exclusives. But, I mean, the live-action Cowboy Bebop will definitely be a Netflix original series, because it is.
That's true.
But for a long time, all of their acquired exclusives in anime or anywhere else, like Great British Bake Off would say, a Netflix original series or Netflix original anime, even though, you know, they had aired in Japan like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But they don't anymore, which is nice. They still call a lot of things that aren't anime, but whatever. Speaking of potential plot twists in streaming services, so you may have noticed that this season Netflix has simulcasts. That's a new thing. Another potential competitor in that market, Disney is going to stream several anime series next year on Disney Plus in at least Japan and several other countries. They haven't confirmed anything about the US yet, but I guess this kind of comes hot on the heels of their very first anime, which was Star Wars Visions, and I guess they're interested. Everyone seems to be jumping on the bandwagon, and now Disney is joining as well. That'll be interesting to see if that happens for us.
I was like
all the money out of the weebs.
Yeah, I was like really happy seeing Visions become a thing, and then the monkey's paw curled a finger, and it's like, actually, we're also gonna grab the Tatami Galaxy sequel from you guys. And I'm like, no, please.
Yeah, so they've confirmed. They've confirmed that title, the Black Rock Shooter new anime, and a original called Summertime Rendering. Or, I don't know, it's based on something, I think, but not something I've ever heard of. Hasn't had an anime before. Yeah.
Man, oh man. Well, it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. I guess that makes basically everyone... there are still a few studios with their own streaming services that haven't entered, but all the like real big streaming services are in this game now.
Let's say Amazon entered, but then got out of it.
Yeah, they haven't done anything for a while.
So bad
but
at it.
then they got exclusive rights to the Evangelion movies worldwide, and they're still the only place with the last one worldwide.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe they'll be back.
I remember
I would imagine they would at least consider it. I mean, anime strike was a terrible idea.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Like, that was not the move.
Not to charge an extra $5 on top of your Prime services.
And then often forget to upload the episodes or forget to add subtitles. And Anime Strike was, a dark age. But before and after that, they had exclusive simulcasts for years anyway. It wasn't until, maybe last year. Yeah, I think last year they didn't have any simulcasts, but I think right up to the end of 2019 they still did.
They were doing Vinland Saga, right? Or
yeah, that was right up to the end of 2019, yep.
Yeah.
I think that was the last time they had it. I think they had that and the Psychopaths 3 were right at the end of 2019.
Man,
nothing since then.
I felt so bad because there was a show on Amazon way back. It was in 2016 or something, and it was called The Great Passage, and nobody watched it. It was about a guy working at they made dictionaries was the plot, but
Cain and I both watched that, I think.
yeah,
I watched it.
I loved
Everyone here but me has watched it.
Okay, no one else.
But I agree that nobody else has watched it. Yeah, I agree. Nobody else has.
It was a beautiful show, and it just literally no one wanted to watch anime on Amazon at that point, so it's I didn't hear a peep about it.
It's also, I can't imagine that being a show that many people would want to watch no matter where it was.
Yeah, it already had a bad enough. Yeah, it barely had its foot in the door as is with the premise.
Yeah.
That was the death sentence.
Yeah.
Final nail in the coffin. Hey kids, you want to watch an anime about books on Amazon? I guess it fits, right? Amazon got its start with books.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't very popular. I remember watching it and enjoying it for its, metaphorical, its wordplay and all of that. But yeah, even I at the time was like, this is gonna be a deep cut in a few years. That's gonna get a save DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it ever even got that. I don't think anyone's even licensed it for home video. Actually, did Discotech? Maybe Discotech did.
I think Discotech did, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I should grab that. That is a hidden gem right there.
See, I think I remember seeing it on their website and being surprised, and and then thinking, well, maybe it was just really cheap.
Right. And it's Discotech. They license stuff that's going to sell 100 units. But I guess it's true for newer stuff. It kind of either has to be an easy sell or real cheap. All right, next new season of a show announced is Mob Psycho 100. Season 3 is coming next year as well.
Yeah.
And I think I had heard it was almost, it had almost adapted the entire manga in the last season, so I'm kind of surprised that there's going to be another full TV series, but maybe that was not entirely correct.
No, I think you're right. I was expecting it to be a feature film, so yeah,
Right.
I am interested in what that's going to look like. I haven't finished it, so I don't really know how much is left, but yeah, from what I heard, yeah, it's basically, this should wrap it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was definitely expecting a movie or OVA or something, not another 13 episodes or whatever.
I ain't gonna complain, though.
Yeah, for sure. Second season was amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, there are definitely worse shows that could get new seasons, so I welcome this, especially if it's going to retain the same staff and everything.
Right, exactly. Not like One Punch Man Season 2.
Yeah, they're just going to switch over to JC staff.
No, dude.
And that's coming from someone who likes JC staff. I like JC staff. A lot of my shows that I've enjoyed over the years turned out to be them, but they don't have any business doing that.
No.
Right, exactly. You don't go from the most Sakuga show ever to a bunch of no-name staff at JC staff with a schedule that everyone was working way behind schedule all the time.
Yeah. In a vacuum, that second season was like all right, but like compared to that first season, yeah, it's just like, ugh. That was.
And it's not only that, like the first season had to be that good because the manga has better animation than a lot of anime.
For real.
So, yeah. So even as not only as a sequel but as an adaptation, that second season was disappointing.
Murata's so crazy.
Yeah. Did you see the thing he did in the past like month?
I don't think
he just
so.
like got bored and made a like 2-minute long One Punch Man animation on Twitter, and it's incredible.
Oh, I did see that actually. Yeah.
Just got bored.
Just got bored and animated a masterpiece. This guy isn't even an animator, mind you. What a legend.
Yeah.
Next piece of news, similarly, another season 3 coming in 2022 is Kaguya-sama Love is War, season 3. Returning cast and staff confirmed. April 2022 debut confirmed as well.
Nice.
Also very exciting.
Hooray!
Yeah. Nothing to say about that, anyone?
Not me.
Cool.
Yeah,
go ahead, DJ.
I mean, I don't know. Like the second season surprised me a lot. I don't know how they're gonna top the second season, but it'd be cool if they did, and I wouldn't put it past them. So
Yeah.
I want more Chica story. Give me more Chica. I hope that's all I want out of season 3, and I'd be happy.
Yeah, I think she's kind of due for it, because I think of the main cast, she's the least fleshed out in any serious way, so that makes sense.
Like, all we know about her is that she is exceptional at eating ramen. That is her entire lore now.
She's, like, surprisingly exceptional at a few things that don't get talked about very often, but...
Like secret genius.
Yeah. But I think if Ishigami got that incredible arc at the end of season 2, then we're probably due for a decent Chica story in season 3.
Yeah, I support it.
Yeah. A few more of her coaching Shirogane episodes too. Would love that.
So good. Yeah, like she's so good at all of these things, and like she's a good teacher, but she gets so fed up, and it's amazing.
I didn't watch the OVA, but it looked like it was worth checking out from the looks of it. Is there only one OVA though? I can't.
Did that stream? I can't remember if I watched it.
OVA. May 20. I don't see it.
Yeah, I feel like it never was streaming, because otherwise I probably would have.
Oh. Crunchyroll has it? Maybe?
They still haven't gotten the second season, have they?
Really? Damn.
Yeah, I think that's still just Funimation. Anyway, hopefully we get it before the third season comes out. That'd be good to see. Alright, and another bit of new information about something that had been revealed slightly beforehand. So we knew that we were getting a fruits basket. I don't even know if the format was announced, but an anime about Toru's parents. And now that has been confirmed as being entitled Fruits Basket Prelude. It is going to be a theatrical film. And in addition to the story about Toru's parents, it's going to have an epilogue about the main couple as they ended up at the end of the series, as well as like a recap of the anime series itself. So, yeah.
You know, it's not bad hearing that, but I kind of wish that both of those two things were not there.
I mean, I think
it would have been nicer to just have the prelude movie.
I don't know if they're necessarily all going to be like part of the same package or just like screened together, because I feel like the way they make it sound is maybe I shouldn't have called it a theatrical movie. It might just be like an OVA or special that's getting a theatrical run. and with that run, it's going to have these things alongside it. But I don't know how connected they're really going to be.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it'd be weird if it, like,
Right.
I mean, I don't know the storyboard, but just conceptually, it sounds weird to go from prelude to epilogue. Unless it's like prelude, recap, epilogue, but then it's just like, why not just do the prelude? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Let me see if there's anything else. So yeah, it's Kyoko and Katsuya Honda, Fruits Basket Prelude, arrives in theaters in Japan on February 18th, 2022.
Love Live Superstar got another season announced.
Yeah. Yeah, I assume every Love Live thing is going to have at least 2 seasons. Yeah, I don't know exactly how this is going to be, but hopefully we at least get it streaming so that we can see the prequel separate from the sequel and not have to watch the recap if we don't want to and all that. All right, and my final piece of news for new anime announced, this is one I'm very excited about, it was a long time coming, is Spy Family has an anime announced. It will be a 2022 TV series by Wit Studio, which is very exciting, and Cloverworks, which is very exciting, and directed by Kazuhiro Furuhashi, who directed all of Rurouni Kenshin, including the OVAs. He directed the original Hunter x Hunter, he directed Dororo, he directed Gundam Unicorn. So great hands for this great series to be in all around. The manga is one of the best Shonen Jump manga for the past few years. So I've been looking forward to this, and I'm very excited to hear that it's coming from all of these very talented people.
Dude, I've been reading this.
This is a little surprising for me because I had never heard of this until it was announced.
Really?
And then it just suddenly seemed like it was a thing everyone knew about. And I'm just over here like, what?
What kind of reaction did you have with Chainsaw Man? Because I feel like that just blew up more than anything's ever blown up when like the anime was announced and it got the trailer and stuff.
See, I don't even recognize that title now.
Interesting. Wow. You missed all that. Okay. Nice.
Gosh dang. The Shonen Jump app is like $2 a month. I know you have the money now.
$2.
Literally. But yeah, like I cannot wait to see Anya animated, dude. She's the best part about that manga. I love all the reaction faces. It's so good.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, it's been selling like friggin' hotcakes too without an anime, so like I can't imagine what's gonna happen once the anime comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all of these real high profile anime adaptations with, you know, big budgets and great staff and studios behind them always end up, you know, like 6 times the manga sales instantly, 10 times the manga sales. So with this already doing pretty well, yeah, that'll be fun to see. It definitely deserves it.
Yeah. I just wonder if there's like a ceiling, because like Demon Slayer was already such a phenomenon, and I somehow have a feeling that Chainsaw Man is going to, I don't know, like surpass sounds crazy just because like Demon Slayer surpassed anything anyone ever could have imagined. So,
right.
But like, I don't know, the hype around Chainsaw Man before it even got an announcement was already so immense that like I have no idea what's going to happen.
I think it has to have at least Jujutsu Kaisen success.
Oh, yeah. I think
and, you know, that was already that got very successful from the anime specifically. So, yeah, I think with the hype level of Chainsaw Man, like, we still don't even know when the anime is coming. And it's already such a huge phenomenon. So, yeah, I hesitate to say Demon Slayer level, but certainly on or probably well above Jujutsu Kaisen, which is already very impressive.
Yeah, 2022 is going to be a madhouse. Holy shit.
Yeah. But yeah, DJ, you would like Spy Family, so read the manga or at least watch the anime when it comes out, because it is very good.
Everyone's told me I'd like it, but I know nothing about it.
It is a very funny, very charming comedy, and yeah.
Those are things I enjoy.
Yeah. All right, that's all the news I had. Want to get talking about the season?
Yeah, season.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm watching 19 shows. DJ's watching 15. Brandon's watching 12 or 14, I guess. How many are you watching, Cain?
I started 5, and I have 3.
5 might be a record for you now.
Damn.
One of them's short form.
Fair.
So, I mean, I count it personally, but it's not exactly a full season, 20-minute episode type deals. So
yeah. Same with one of mine and DJ's as well.
Yeah, so and it'll go up at least one more, because when the new Demon Slayer episodes come out, I'll start watching those, but that's not for another like 3 weeks plus. Something like that. Yeah,
and actually this past Saturday there was supposed to be an episode, or Sunday there was supposed to be an episode, and it got delayed by election coverage, so I think it'll be slightly later now.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask, because I was like, where'd the episode go?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so I guess that's an interesting thing to start talking about. So I saw Mugen Train, I should say the movie, because they're both called Mugen Train, and I'm watching the series. I believe Cain has only seen the movie and DJ is only watching the series. Is that correct?
Yes, I've only watched the series. I have not watched the movie.
Yeah, and then I watched the movie, and of course all the episodes previously.
Yeah. But I just mean in terms of Mugen Train. We're all kind of in different scenarios there.
I actually just watched through the series like 2 months ago, and then I watched Mugen Train about a month ago, so I am also caught up on the anime. So
it's pretty much exactly what Cain just did.
Nice.
Yep. That's to a T, just about. I basically binge watched it as much as I binge watch things, so I was watching 4 episodes a day or so over the course of, I guess, maybe 4 episodes a day. It was like 26 episodes or something like that, so that would be like between 6 and 7 days, so over a week. And then I watched the movie about a day or 2 later. So I guess the only thing I'm really wondering about when it comes to the TV series is stuff that isn't covered in the movie, and if stuff that isn't covered in the movie, is any of it like important, or is it just fun little stuff? Like, I know, Castro, you said the first 2 episodes were like prequels to the movie, essentially. Yeah,
the first episode is.
Yeah.
It's basically just good times with Rengoku before the events of the movie begin.
Oh my!
So if you want that, then it's pretty sweet. Yeah. The rest, it's all exactly how the movie was so far.
When I was watching the movie, I was trying to figure out where they would cut for show episodes. Just like, that would be a good place. Like, I don't know if they made the movie kind of with a TV edit in mind in that way, so they made story beats that could be chopped up like that, or if they had to be creative about where they started and ended the episodes. But there were a couple places where I was like, okay, yeah, I could see an episode ending here, ending there, but I am curious to know how they're gonna cut that up, because it's, how many episodes are they doing? 12?
I think like that? 7 of the movie.
Yeah, it was like
so
7
not
or
terrible.
8, I think.
Yeah, maybe 8, including the prequel episode.
Yeah, so they're not stretching it out by any means, because that pretty much adds up to the movie's runtime.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it kind of both of those scenarios apply, where it already kind of fits the episode format pretty well because it is based on a weekly chapter-based manga. So it already felt a little bit like it belonged in episodes when you were watching the movie. But I think the movie was also not entirely made with this in mind at the time. It was only because it was such a huge success that they did it. So they do have to get a little bit creative with how they cut it up, and maybe it's just because I have seen the movie, but some of the endings of episodes are kind of like, oh, that probably wasn't really intended to be the ending of an episode, but it's not too bad.
That's just where the 20 minutes ended.
Right, yeah. Just in the middle of a sentence.
I think
they just cut it off in the middle of a sentence, or like
give it like a Sopranos ending. Just cut to black.
Don't say anything about.
No. I'm also actually watching The Sopranos, and I'm like in season 6 right now, so I ain't spoiling nothing
for the first time.
Nice, same. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I have heard that much about the ending at least. So
yeah. I figured that was enough.
Yeah.
I will say, I think I forgot who tweeted it. I think it might have been Kevin from the Sakuga blog. It was a tweet about how it was so smart for Ufotable to, like, the production for the show is already so good, but the fact that the movie didn't really show a level up or down of quality, it like retained the same quality. I feel like that made it so much easier to just transition into the TV animated version of it. Because there's plenty of like anime movies that like the movie is very noticeably higher quality animation, but yeah, the movie felt like just an extension of the show, which definitely works for this recut.
Yes, yeah, like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely made sense for a lot of reasons, because, yeah, Ufotable is already just movie quality for their TV series, especially for this series. And then, yeah, you know, they're adapting the next arc of the manga, so of course they're going to keep it feeling very consistent. And then when they do get the opportunity to cut it up into episodes, then even better, because then people who just want to watch a TV series all the way through don't have to worry about stopping and watching a movie. They just have the whole story there. So yeah, it worked out very well in every way, really.
I'd be curious if there's even any like true up you could go in terms of quality, because yeah, it already is so good. Like, could they even make it higher quality if they wanted to, or is it just like that's par for the course? Anything else would be lowering the quality in a way, unless they painstakingly hand animated everything and didn't use any CGI whatsoever, which isn't necessarily higher quality depending on how good the hand-drawn animation is.
And depending on how good the compositing is, which Ufotable is the best in the business at that. So yeah, it's hard to imagine it being better than, like, you know, end of episode 19.
True.
Indeed. So do you have anything else to like really say about the TV series? Anybody here that, like, I don't know, makes it stand out or be different? It's hard to talk about it just because the story already exists and is high quality and things like that. Now it's just chopped up into bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. Well, DJ
still can't like talk about it.
Yeah, as someone who hasn't seen the movie, I think it's good. I mean, like, not much has really happened yet, so I don't have extensive thoughts, but it's more really high quality stuff, and it's an interesting arc because it takes place on a train, and that's the extent of what I've got on it so far, but it's all been really good. I know a couple of people who have very different opinions on whether or not this should exist or if it is worth watching or not. But for anyone out there like me who has not watched the movie, highly recommend. It's good. Definitely watch the first Demon Slayer first, though. You don't want to just get on the train. That'd be a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think this should exist, but is absolutely skippable if you'd prefer the movie version of it. I just, you know, I'm glad that people can just stick with a TV series all the way through if they prefer to do it that way. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it all shakes out at the end of it, but I could definitely see myself just going with the movie for rewatches and not this season. But I'm glad both exist.
Yeah.
Where's the series at right now?
In terms of story?
Yeah.
Where did the last episode cut off? It's hard for me to remember now because it did take a week off and I've seen the whole story. DJ, do you remember?
Yeah. Tanjiro's about to wake up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Yeah, so you're right in the thick of it for the most part. That's cool. Yeah, it's gonna be neat. I really like the choice of like using something like a train as a major set piece in that way, because you can do a lot for how how small the space is, you can do so much within it that can sort of encapsulate action and keep it super focused and things like that. And then you can use kind of the dreamscapes as a way to sort of broaden the stage a little bit. As I was watching it, I was like, this reminds me of, you know, movies that do it really well, like Raid, like the Raid Redemption, or the single cut fight scene from Old Boy.
Yeah, or like Reservoir Dogs or something. It's like a single small space.
Yeah, and it can really ramp up the action because they are confined to this one area, so they don't have to worry about animating or showing the effects of an action as it ripples throughout the world. They have to tailor their action to such, you know, to a train car or a couple train cars perhaps, which adds a really fun dynamic element to it, because they can't just rip off these enormous big, you know, special maneuvers and stuff, because you could blow up a whole train, you could blow up a whole building essentially, and that's not good. So it's cool having to it's cool having to have that strategy planning in it a little bit, because that will, you know, it comes up occasionally. I thoroughly enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't particularly stop Rengoku from unleashing giant flames in the middle of a small train, really.
But he keeps them contained within the train.
True.
It's true.
That was me the whole movie. I'm like, is this really the whole thing gonna take place on this train? And just the whole time I was like, in the back of my mind, like, is this what they're doing?
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about it until literally this second, but it's kind of like the train part of Baccano.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Trains are cool.
Yeah, trains are cool.
Oh, what a marvelous loco.
Rail Wars.
Oh my god. Thanks for reminding me that existed.
That had trains.
Sure did.
What a transition.
All right, well, let's say we can parse the list of other shows, unless there's stuff that anyone else wanted to say about the Demon Slayer Mugen Train arc.
One more thing.
Sure.
Fuck Zenitsu.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Damn.
That's it.
I'm on your team.
Right now, Tanjiro is the only person on the train that I like.
Inosuke is so much fun.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes he's a little much.
He's a lot. He's very extra, but I like his extra. I like Rengoku's extra as well.
I would like Rengoku a lot more if he would stop yelling.
Man, everyone yells all the time. Like
It's just ridiculous.
3 of the 4 characters that are like the entire movie / arc yell every single line.
It's just fucking the loudest train ever, and somehow everyone is miraculously asleep.
And then the one character who isn't yelling every line has like 10,000 lines every episode because he just says everything and thinks everything.
Or the other character that doesn't yell anything because she has a fucking...
That's true. Doesn't
thing in her
talk at all.
mouth. Yeah, she doesn't talk at all. Yeah, the yelling is one thing I could take or leave from Demon Slayer in its entirety. Is like, if everyone could stop yelling all the time, that'd be great.
It would be okay.
Why does Tanjiro hang out with like a fucking dude who's just trying to mack it on his sister all the time? It's so strange.
Tanjiro is just friends with everyone. He's just a good boy.
He should stop.
I would have fucking ditched that dude way back in the Spider arc.
Right?
Yeah, that would have been a good opportunity.
Zenitsu would have been like, never heard of him.
I would have left him in that bongo house.
No idea who that guy is.
I'm usually like pretty off put. Sorry, I'm usually a little off put about the yelly characters, but like I'm just like amazed by Inosuke's voice actor. Like that dude's got to be like coating his throat in honey and like chugging water to like put on a performance like that every time.
Especially since he, mostly voices like generic harem protagonists. He's had a lot of roles that have really stretched his range in the past few years. Like I started that sentence and then I'm like, oh, ReZero. But yeah, it's a much screamier role than he often does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to say, one of my friends who watches Demon Slayer likes Zenitsu a lot, and his only reasoning was, he's soft and I'm soft.
What?
Yeah, he's like, Zenitsu's a soft boy and I'm a soft boy.
Oh my goodness.
So I understand where he's coming from. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, I suppose, but I think he just sucks. So.
He really does.
I don't hate him as much as most people I talk to. I certainly don't hate him as much as like Mineta, but I was surprised to learn that he's very popular at Otakon. I learned that.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, everyone's popular somewhere.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess everyone has their niche audience.
As someone who got on the train, pun extremely intended, as someone who got on the Demon Slayer train like way late, I thought this dude was going to be like super badass because so many people liked him. And then once I started watching the show, I'm like, this guy? This is the guy?
See, I heard nothing but hate for him for 2 years. Yeah, exactly. And it's a cool move. It's very cool.
It's a cool move.
Yeah. Alright, we can talk about something else now.
Yeah. The Demon Slayer shilling is over.
Sure. Alright, well, I want to hear about this Comey show or whatever that people like. I know, Kestrel, you said that it probably wouldn't be in my alley.
I don't know whether it would be or not. It's kind of on the line.
Well, now I want to hear about it. Because it seems like everyone's watching it but me.
That's true, and we all love it.
Oh yeah, you all are. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, based on this
it's
list.
good. It's I think the opening is fucking fantastic.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's so pretty. Did someone else start talking? I feel like I might have interrupted someone.
No, you're good. Keep
okay,
going.
cool. All right,
we keep interrupting Brandon all episode.
No,
he's really quiet for me, so I don't want to like talk over him.
No, you're good.
Brandon can't communicate.
Okay, so
all right, I'm done.
I love it.
I started Komi-san today.
Oh damn.
And it was more or less what I expected it to be, but also a little more. I don't know if the silent voice comparison is good, but I got that kind of vibe just in like the depictions of social anxiety, and
the opener
her
especially.
Problem's a lot worse than I expected it to be. She really can't communicate, but I am having a lot of fun so far, and it had a couple really poignant moments. I think the drawing on the blackboard scene in the first episode was very pretty, and it was like the kind of like, I didn't cry, but like I was like, oh, my eyes, like they're suddenly not normal eyes anymore.
Yeah, like there might be a little bit of onion cutting going on nearby.
Yeah, sure. like 3 doors down or something, right. Not the band. Yeah. It's really good. Only 2 episodes are out on Netflix right now, though. But I like it a lot, and I'm glad that I like it a lot because it's a popular series, and I can finally talk about it with people, and they'll think I'm cool.
I will say, as a fan of the manga, the first episode especially is just perfect, and in just like the setting up the concept of the show, but also like hinting at all the other elements that are to come with it, and which is crazy because as someone who's been reading it for so long, Comey to me is a very just like low key, like low effort to read. It's kind of like comfort food, you know, and it's like it's almost like a 4-koma. It's very like simple in its volume design, but the first 2 episodes just wowed me so much that it made me like recontextualize what this, like how I was basically just the way I felt about the whole series, because like it's really just been like nice comedy comfort food for me, but like the anime so far feels almost like the Nichijou anime, in that it's like overly animated. It's like goes so far
entirely too animated for how little happens.
It's crazy. but I'm really looking forward to it if they can keep up the quality that they've had with the first two.
Yeah, I agree with all that. A silent voice comparison, I wouldn't go that far because, it is chiefly a comedy. And
like not in tone.
Yeah, I know, but just, it does depict the social anxiety pretty well when it wants to, and that scene in the first episode is very poignant, very well executed all around. But yeah, it's mostly used as a backdrop for a silly gag, and it is beyond me how that gag has lasted hundreds of chapters, so I look forward to seeing how that sustains itself. But yeah, so far, extremely well executed all around, very high production values. Certain scenes, like the opening scene, the actual opening sequence itself, and like the chalkboard scene, are all just incredibly over-animated. And, some of the tone, especially at the beginning of episodes, has like a very nostalgic, poignant, despite not really being about anything kind of feel, where it's like, this scene might not look out of place in a Shinkai movie. Which is interesting framing for a gag show like this. So yeah, it's good.
I also I appreciate the name Osana Najimi.
That's right.
A very good name.
Yeah. Doesn't work quite as well since they put it in Western order, but
but still, this the idea of it.
This is one of those shows where all the names are very deliberate like that. So get ready for lots of that. I figured that would
be the case. Yeah. After these first few, I was like, okay.
What is in fucking Protag's hair?
I think it's supposed to be his like colic, but it's like a flower.
It's like a flower.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a flower.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to be his hair colic, but I don't know.
I'd be fine with him having a flower in his hair. I just want confirmation that that's what it is.
I don't know if they
as it stands, I'm incredibly confused.
But yeah, I am interested to see where it goes, how much is going to get adapted, how it can sustain itself for hundreds of installments. I guess in theory you have 100 friends to work through, so. But yeah, it's so far I feel like the second episode was probably the first real indication of what the series is going to be like, because the first episode had a lot of setup and introduction and probably rare poignant moments. And I can't say that for sure. Brandon would know a lot better than me. But I think the kind of the structure where it introduces a new friend candidate and goes through all of their idiosyncrasies and how they relate to everyone else at the school and to Komi seems like a formula that would work pretty well. And so far the one character that we've met is a lot of fun, and yeah, it's a childhood friend character who is the childhood friend of every single person at every single school, and their name means childhood friend. Like, yeah,
Najimi
is a good joke.
Beautiful.
Najimi is Najimi, not he, not her. Najimi.
Right.
I will say that before watching the premiere, I had totally forgot that there were even any drama elements in the series. So that's why that I totally understand the first episode giving silent voice vibes, because it definitely, especially with the chalkboard scene. But the rest of it is, I do think I understand concerns for like how can they like keep this joke going for so long, and there are definitely moments in the manga that I feel it gets a little stale, but they are adding a new character like every volume, at least one new character every volume. So I think that's going to be the major appeal of this show, is like who you're going to relate to in terms of the wacky cast they keep adding, because there's a lot of freaks, which I love that they did that at the very big end of the first episode, and they're like, oh, all these freaks and crazies at the school, and they're like rushing past all these characters. I can't wait for them to get introduced. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I will say I wish Crunchyroll got it, because they would have done the subs right, and Netflix will just leave an entire wall of on-screen text completely untranslated if they feel
Yeah, that
like
made
it.
me sad.
Yeah.
And this is not a show where you want that.
No, this show is very much like a show that needs typesetting everywhere. So
Yeah.
that is a bit rough.
There's like a lot of signage and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much text on screen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, highly recommend though.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a good case for you liking it, Cain. It's just, with things like Kaguya-sama that kind of surprised me to hear how much you didn't. I think it could go either way.
It'll be a gamble.
Yeah,
I feel
and,
like Cain would just be like, why doesn't she just fucking talk?
I mean, that isn't inaccurate. Especially if you learn eventually that she can talk, she just doesn't.
Yeah.
Or chooses not to.
It's just social anxiety. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the whole premise.
Oh yeah, I can see
Crippling
myself
social
going like
anxiety.
just
Yeah.
Okay.
You just get tired of it really quick. Just like,
Yeah,
just
and
fucking,
unfortunately,
it's
I
good
could see
morning.
that
Just
happen.
do it.
At the very least,
Yeah.
it's played more for gags than it is for drama. The premise is very much like social anxiety like ruins lives and shit, but at the end of the day, it's her literally just stuttering into outer space, just like literally not being able to get a word out.
Yeah, I think those scenes where she's trying to talk to someone and it's just like a solid minute of her trying to get out a single syllable, I feel like those could be a little rough for Kane's taste.
That is
potentially, especially because I could also be like, just carry around a dry erase board with you and write down shit you want to say.
Hold on to that thought and then watch the show. That's all I'm gonna say. But also, just to relate that to Kaguya-sama, I'm pretty sure Kaguya's voice actress is the one playing Komi-san, which is awesome.
I found that
Her
very
range
fitting.
is absurd.
Yeah.
She's
She
really
is
great.
so fucking good, and it's just gross how good she is.
Yeah, the second season of Kaguya-sama really drove that home for me when you would have like the Ba-Kaguya, as people call it, the idiot Kaguya in her head, compared to like the Ice Queen Kaguya. So good.
I barely ever recognize her voice because she has so many voices.
Yeah.
It's like I just never know when it's her. It's crazy.
Yeah, she's great.
All right, shall we
Okay.
move on, I guess?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, I know what I want to talk about.
Okay.
DJ,
Yes.
can you please tell me what any redeeming factor of that godforsaken hockey abomination that came out was? I know you dropped it, but I also know you like idol shows, because in my notes for this show, all I have is F minus. Because holy
that's
shit,
fair.
I hated this piece of shit show
It was.
Yeah.
and
I mean,
everything about it. I want to let
is-
you try to explain to me
if it's
first.
an
and
Do you
I
have
idol-
don't
any idea how bad a show about idols
I
has
was
to
just
be
gonna
for
say that.
me to drop it?
To give it a 5. Yeah.
I still gave it a 5 because I'm too nice.
But I mean,
it
yeah.
was one of the fucking dumbest things. Because it wasn't like, it's like somebody wanted to make 4 different shows and they like only had $20 and they were just, I have to make all 4 shows with $20, and that's just what they decided to do. And the whole idea of it is that it is an embroidery club who decides to play hockey, but their hockey coach wants them to perform idol songs after every victory.
Yep.
That's
Yes,
the show.
Yep.
That's as far in as I made it, and it was so poorly animated and so just conceptually stupid that I could not handle it for more than... It wasn't even a full 2 episodes. It was like an episode and a half because I just turned it off. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Do you want to guess how
never
far I
watch
got?
this, anyone.
I can tell you the exact moment when I dropped the show. I sent a picture to Castro at the exact moment that I stopped watching it.
What was it? What was the moment?
When he told them that body checking isn't allowed.
Oh my god.
Because I was hoping that I know that there is no body checking in women's hockey, just like there's no body checking, or at least there's, according to the rule book, no body checking in women's lacrosse. But also I was like, this is an anime, and maybe they'll play like a Russian team that just beats the shit out of them for 3 episodes.
That'd be great. I would watch that.
That's a classic.
That's what I would, yeah. Yeah, that was the first ridiculous thing I saw anyway that I wrote down in my notes is Japan beating Canada. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, whose idea was this?
Oh, God, I hate it. And the worst part is the idol shit comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
it comes out of nowhere.
I didn't know that this was an idol show. Like, I was like, hockey girls. Like, they're all dressed in hockey stuff, and that is enough. I don't have to read the description. I understand from the picture what this show is about. I did not. It starts with a fucking, I guess, like a daydream or like future sequence or something. I don't find out. No one finds out.
Idiotic.
Yeah, they beat Canada, and then it's just out of nowhere. They just fucking they go to the middle of the ice, and it's just an idol routine. And I'm like, what am I watching? Why am I watching this?
I didn't even listen to the whole song. I skipped ahead.
Okay, not necessary.
I can't do this. I was like, I wanted hockey. And the reason, like, DJ, you're absolutely right. And that's because before this episode, you know, what we're doing right now, I wanted to make sure I was right, but I looked through all of the advertising material and I could not find a single thing about idols. There was the
poster. They just blindsided us with it.
Yeah. There was the poster, there was the description on like Crunchyroll's website, there was a trailer. I watched a trailer, like an official trailer. There was not a single mention about idol shit. Kestrel, if you were sitting next to me when I was watching this, the second they said "We are Princess Smile," I let out an audible "uh-oh."
The producers were just like rubbing their hands together and like, this is gonna be the next Madoka Magica, boys. Let's do it.
They might have like mixed up like fucking scripts or something. Right. Like their idol show got mixed in with our hockey one.
Oh man, I can't remember the last time I was so angry watching something, like so just bitterly angry. My notes in order are idol shit out of nowhere. It shows the pinnacle of their athletic achievement in the first 2 minutes, so this show is worthless from a drama standpoint. Japan beating Canada, that's laughable. And then everybody and everything looks completely generic.
Yeah.
Like, because they all look the same. Like, Kessler, you're right. You're like, that's the gist.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mobile game.
Yeah, which I didn't know either, and makes sense.
Yep.
What do you even do in the mobile game? Like, is it a hockey mobile game? Is it an idol mobile game? Is it an embroidery mobile game? What do you do in it?
I've never even played a mobile game, so you're asking the wrong person.
I bet it's mostly an idol game with some shitty like hockey's like mini games put into it.
I can see that.
And
so they could say it's a hockey thing or whatever.
Everywhere.
But God, I Googled this, and the first video that came up with all it said was, "The hockey anime is a lie."
What do you even do in an idol mobile game, DJ?
They're normally rhythm games, so you just
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always imagine them as DDR.
That makes sense.
Pretty much. Most of them are. Idolmaster has like a simulation aspect to it where you will like train the girls' stats and like talk to them and like schedule stuff for them and stuff. But Love Live, it's just you play songs and then get points.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I had heard about like what the idol game or Idolmaster games were like, and that's why
they're like full-fledged games. The Idolmaster games. Love Live is just pure mobile game.
That makes sense.
Ugh, who even goes to a hockey game and be like, I wish the players would sing.
You know,
like, no wonder that coach has problems getting a team together and making this idea happen. I remember the guy who plays the mascot. He's like, this idea is ridiculous, and I was like, you must be the audience insert, because this idea is ridiculous. Not a single person's gonna go to a hockey game and be like, man, I just wish some J-pop would start. Like, that's not what it is. That's not the demographic. Like, I can't imagine this show being good for anybody.
There were so many strange choices. Like, why the embroidery club? That's another question I want answered. Like, why that? Well, why was that their decision?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I mean, they ditch it in the first, like, 3 minutes, so...
Well, they're still there in the second episode.
Are they? Oh my
They
god!
are.
I thought they gave that up the second they were like, "We're gonna go do the hockey thing."
No, it was like, oh, hockey was fun. It was kind of weird that the teacher made us dance, though, and they're just, like, knitting a sweater. And that was like, when I was like, I can't do this.
God. Yeah, I think I officially made it through about 0.4 of an episode since I did skip the Idol song. But
It's
holy
bad.
shit, that was bad. Yeah,
There's nothing good about it, really.
there's not a single redeeming thing I could put in because even the hockey action, like you mentioned earlier, DJ, was very poorly animated.
Yeah, it was bad. I gave it a 5 still, though, because I hate, like, giving shows worse grades than that if I only watched, like, an episode and a half, because I want to give everything the benefit of the doubt, but I'm probably going to change that.
Your number grade says 5, but our conversation says 0.5.
It really does. Like, now that I'm actually able to express my thoughts about the show, a 5 doesn't seem fair anymore.
Ugh. Oh, well, I'm good then. I just wanted to get your. I saw that you had watched it, and I'm glad somebody else at least tried it, so it wasn't just me.
Yeah, I suffered with you. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Thank you for
You
your
made
service.
it farther than me. You are a champion.
I really am. Okay. So,
Yeah, we can definitely
do we
move on to
have,
something
Oh,
else.
that's out of the way.
yeah. Any choices for our next television show?
Is there anything that anyone is like passionate to talk about? I know normally I pick the shows, but I know sometimes I skip towards the top of the list and pick ones in the middle for some reason.
I will very briefly say that there is a good Idol show this season in Selection Project, and it's like if American Idol met Terrace House. That is...
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, they literally live in a terrace house. Like, it's called Terrace House in the show. And it's just
my
like
goodness.
the girls living there competing on a reality TV show to like become the next big idol or something. It's got the same exact base story as a show I liked a lot from a few seasons ago called Idly Pride, where it's just like the biggest idol in the world suddenly gets into a fatal car accident, and her biggest fan, who like sucked at everything and was not good at stuff, lives in her shadow and becomes the next idol. It's that, but this time it's a contest, and it's cool.
That is a very specific plot to be in more than one show.
Yeah, that's like when Idly Pride came out, I was like, wow, this is a really interesting plot for an idol show. And then the same exact thing happened for this, and I'm like, maybe it wasn't. So I don't know which one came first, because they are both based on mobile games, as are most idol things. But they've both been enjoyable, and the whole dead idol thing is a lot less prominent in this than it was in Idly Pride. Idly Pride is a pretty serious show tonally. This is more just fun slice of life reality show stuff. But if you like idols, I'd say watch Selection Project.
Well, glad to know there's at least one that's still good.
Yeah, there's no hockey either.
Oh, man.
While that may be a downside to shows that you watch for hockey,
Is there MMA then?
this isn't one of those.
So maybe boxing or some other violent sport they could turn into an idol show.
Yeah, we might get there. I mean, they've only had one contest so far, so it's like they could have, the next tournament could be hockey, and we'll find out.
It crosses over with this other show.
Oh God.
All right. So,
Okay. What else?
how about we talk about Ranking of Kings?
I'm down
Because
with
that's
that.
3 of us are watching that, so that's pretty good. Yeah, why not we go into that? I watched this based off of Kestrel's recommendation, and I agree. It is very good. Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I love the art style. I think I told Kestrel there was like a blend of like 60s Tezuka and classic Disney art styles, like that Western animation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good noses. I love a good anime schnoz, and this show has just tons of good weird noses. But yeah, it's really cool, and I think Prince Bojji, Best Boy Bojji, is a very, I guess, unique protagonist in that his challenges will be something that will be difficult to overcome, and he's not like just a generic guy that's going to make friends with everyone because just of what he is and is not. So
that last one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think I agree with you guys. I'd put in like an A category if I was going to rank it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I indoctrinated you into it, so I am a big fan. I think it's gorgeous. Wit Studio is just knocking them out of the park every single time. Yeah, like they kind of finished off their run on Attack on Titan, then went right in, which was the best season of Attack on Titan, one of the best things ever, and then went right into 2 cores of Vinland Saga, and then 2 cores of original content with Great Pretender, and then another original show with Vivi, and now they've got 2 cores scheduled for this, and just every single one was great. So good. Studio is doing so well. And the anime is being written by Taku Kishimoto, who's one of my favorite anime writers, who did all of the new Fruits Basket, Haikyuu, Usagi Drop, Erased. So yeah, I was very excited going into this, and yeah, it looks amazing. It's got a really unique art style that they do really creative things with. It's got animation from like Arifumi Imai, who's like Wit Studio star animator who hasn't worked on their last few projects, but was the action animation director for Attack on Titan and did all the best cuts in that show and all the best cuts in Vinland Saga and even the best cuts in One Punch Man over at Madhouse. So he's back and bringing his A game here. Incredible animation. The kind of simplicity of the somewhat storybook art style behind it. And I think those are both really good comparisons of old Tezuka and old Disney. Definitely see those in there. But that kind of simplicity lends itself to the fluidity of the animation really well. Yeah, it's a really unique premise and challenges that they're going to face in the process. Bojji is a great character. You can totally see how Kage was won over by him just by his character. And there's like shockingly poignant drama in it. Like you see the backstory of a little black puddle and his little black puddle family, and it's like almost cry-inducing. Like the show is incredible.
Yeah, I really wasn't expecting the action animation to be such a strong point, but you're right with like the tenured staff on this show. Like it's already showing that it's going to be a very compelling story, both visually and through the writing. So I'm super excited for that. And Bojji's just the cutest little dude ever. Like, there hasn't been a protagonist in so long that I've like needed to root for so hard.
Right.
But
yeah, and go ahead.
I was just gonna say, lending itself to the whole like storybook fairy tale with the art style. This is I don't have many shows that I often forget that I'm even watching anime, but this is one of those that like as I'm watching it, it doesn't feel like I'm watching an anime. It's like I'm playing like one of my favorite adventure video games for the first time again or something. It just has that like sense of wonder that is just so I feel like it needed in fantasy nowadays, but like it's such a saturated genre that it's hard to be wowed by anything anymore that isn't just like shock factor or something else. It's just like standard but like so beautifully done.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think at times watching it kind of reminded me of playing like a Dragon Quest game or like Ni no Kuni or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very like soft designs, really rich RPG fantasy world. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, or playing like an
Yeah, I like
an old
the
Final
soft
Fantasy,
designs of the characters too. Yeah, I think the design of the characters in that way you described them lends themselves to having very fun and dynamic animation around them. Like in the sparring scene, one of my favorite bits of the sparring scene isn't any of the sword fighting at all, but it was actually when Daida shakes his face.
Yes. 100% best part.
Yeah, and it like morphs and like bloats out and then comes back in to shape. And I just thought that was such a like super cool, smooth animation, but it didn't really have anything to do with combat, especially in a time where a lot of like the best animation I see is always like just about different combat scenes and stuff, which is cool. And that is a place to do a lot of really good animation, and art is in like a close quarters combat situation or someone just being like have very fast fluid movements. This was just a kid shaking his face.
So good.
And it was so good. It was so good.
So expressive.
Yeah.
Indeed. And my brother thought it was kind of weird. He was like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And I think because he was waiting for like the really good animation to be in the sword swings and things like that and the dodging, and then Daida shaking his face happens and it caught him off guard.
It's in all of those things too, though.
Yeah, it's not exclusive. Yeah, it's not exclusive. It's just so much attention to detail was paid in a place where they probably really didn't need to. They could have just done the classic, a couple like blurry lines and stuff or whatever, or he doesn't do it at all. But they made it so that it's such a lot, like his face is so alive and felt like real in a cartoon sense in that situation. Like his actions did stuff like that kind of sucked you into the universe.
Their
designs are great.
Yeah, it injects so much like vitality and energy into the scene, just having that expressiveness in their face.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to that adventure they're having. That they're going to have, even if it starts off in this small way where he's just going to his stepmom's house, because unlike another show, potentially, Bojji literally can't communicate in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So he has someone around that can do sign language, but there's no guarantee of any type that any place they go is going to have someone who can understand the sign language. And Bojji may not always have Domas and that other guy around to kind of communicate for him. There will probably be times where he's alone and has to work it out. And Kage was the first thing that could understand Bojji without using sign language. So I think that'll present a lot of very unique challenges that could pop up and make adventures feel a little more like dangerous, a little more exciting, because at the drop of a hat he could run into someone that isn't even willing to give him 5 seconds to figure out what he wants to say. He's just, you can't talk? Well, I guess I'm just going to kill you.
Right.
Or whatever. Like, they won't have the patience to try and figure it out. So I think there's a lot of places this show can go using those obstacles outside of just he's going to face an enemy that's kind of strong and smarter than him. Like, it could be a litany of things that gets in his way and obstacles and adversities he has to overcome.
Yeah.
In the same vein as the Daida head shake animation, I loved the previous moment where Bojji's watching excitedly and he blows the steam out of his nose because he's like, oh man, I want to be doing that right now. It's just, and that lends to what you were just saying about how he's going to have to face so much adversity on his own, but they've already, even though he can't say a word, they've already portrayed so much of his character through his actions and his movements. And I think it's a real, like, hats off to Wit for being able to dedicate so much time to the character animation.
For sure.
Yeah, they did his ass dirty in that fight.
Yeah.
I was like, my brother and I were like, Bojji won that fight all the way. Like, this whole fight like a king shit is bullshit. Because I'd rather be like Bojji and dodge and not be very strong than face your attacker head on just to be mercilessly killed.
Yeah, it's just nobody is ready to accept how great Bojji is, so they gotta put him down.
I think
Yeah,
I
they
think
do,
the
especially
politics.
that piece of shit Snake Man.
I was gonna say, I think the politics of the show already is very nuanced because it's already very clear that there are disagreements within the kingdom, and we got like spear guys like, all right, I ain't gonna follow Daida, that little brat, and like the snake guy who's going to do like he's got his own plans, and there's magic mirror shit, and Bojji wants to go on an adventure, and them fleshing out the queen was like also like a really great character moment. But I love how complicated it is already, that you can tell this is a kingdom that has been in, it's like it's been through peacetime for a while, but also we're like on the shaky outskirts of something's about to go down. So it's really an exciting setup.
Right, it's so good already, and it's really just like the setup for what's to come.
Yeah, the only like sort of like trope mistake it makes is people being surprised that Daida is a psychopath. I was like, I feel like everyone at the very least got their big red flag when he like beat Bojji to near death, just in the courtyard, and then when he became king, and he was just like, all right, well, everyone who disagreed with me should be dead, and let's lock Bojji up forever or whatever. And then like his mom was kind of shocked, and then the snake guy was kind of shocked, and I was just thinking nobody should really be shocked by this because he's clearly like, a fucked up little dude. And there's that magic mirror that people seem to know about but don't do anything about, which I want to know more of, because it's mentioned a few times like that magic mirror has filled him with all sorts of thoughts, and then well, why don't you just take the mirror down?
Yeah, was he like gifted this? It's like, all right, here's an evil spiritual being living within this mirror. Have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could see him being kind of like Joffrey from Game of Thrones, starting to get those vibes a little bit. He's not quite that far gone yet, but be interesting to see.
Yeah, it wasn't like there weren't red flags before it all happened.
Yeah.
And then he becomes king and gets this ultimate power, and then he starts flexing it, and his mom especially is kind of shocked.
Yeah. His mom definitely, like Brandon was saying a little bit, definitely an interesting character. I was surprised by how much depth she got in that third episode. Pleasantly surprised.
She has a good nose too.
Nose game strong.
Nose game is strong.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Is there any show that anybody wants to talk about? Anyone, anywhere?
Okay. Because I've noticed other people are watching it. I wasn't sure if they would. Miyaruko-chan is like the first anime that's come out in a while that I actually read the manga for. So that's cool. And I didn't think that it would make a good anime. And I was kind of right. But it is a lot better than I expected it to be, and I'm still enjoying it for what it is. There's just way too much fucking fan service.
Yeah, that's why I dropped it.
Yeah, it's kind of bad in the earlier volumes of the manga too, but it is not nearly as bad as it is in the anime. It was so blatant and so tasteless, and I hated it. And it's like shit like that makes it harder for me to take shows seriously, and this is, I mean, it's not a show that you're supposed to take seriously because it is a comedy at heart, but it makes the horrific moments less horrific when it's like a butt 2 seconds later. Yeah. So
and also when your joke is and then it gropes her, it's not that funny. So it doesn't work that well for comedy.
Not really at all.
That's one I'm like really struggling with, because like I'm trying to come from it like several different angles, but like the show itself is not helping me make a case for it, because it's like I understand, as someone who is a fan of like the horror genre, it's like, okay, I understand fan service to an extent in this show, because old horror and fan service kind of go hand in hand. Like slasher films are basically built on girls showing off their tits and then getting stabbed. But
that's true.
But you're right about it just being so like blatant in the show that it definitely does detract from the whole horror premise of it. And I'm trying really hard to like enjoy it too, but yeah, it doesn't
it's
make
like
a good
it's
case
trying
for
to make you not enjoy it at times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like if it gets to the point where like a character can't drop something without you being like, and this is what their underwear looks like, it's not good anymore. Like, don't do that. It's upsetting because there are a lot of moments in this series that are really moving and really touching, but it's like it's so less impactful when it's just surrounded by butts.
Probably
it makes you not be able to be in the moment of what's going on because you're just waiting for it to turn into another like perverted butt joke. Like I agree with a lot of what you said. It's a shame in a lot of ways because some of the shorts and some of the stuff that they do within the like vignettes or whatever is interesting. Like the short where Maruko is sitting in the cafe and is looking at the ghost, and then the very manipulative dude that's staring back at her, and you can tell he's a sleazeball. And how she gets out of it is the whole watching a wrestling video on her phone to convince the ghost that that's what she was looking at. I was like, oh, that's kind of clever. And also you see like the inner workings of people, and the ghosts sometimes reflect who they are as people. I was like, oh, that's neat. And then the next short is, you know, some like one of them bending over and then their ass is just in the screen for 30 seconds, or they're in the bathtub and it's a whole minute of a long panning shot up the body and then down the body and then back up it again.
That's the worst part. It's just like lots of these shots are like at least 10-15 seconds.
They're uncomfortably long. It's like they are being like, hey, observe this fan service, not just putting it in there. It's like, we want you to focus on this. This is the focal point. It sucks because like the cat one, that's another like that's really one. in the manga it was super moving. It's so adorable and just touching, and then it's the butt. Just stop with the butts.
But have you seen this butt?
This is
I like that one too. It was a simple but effective, like, don't judge a book by its cover kind of story. And then when the rough looking guy has like the cute cat spirits come out from around him and you're like, oh, he must have cats and likes cats and everything. And then once again the next one is just like, and now here's some groping for you in case you got bored by the good content. So it's just unfortunate. Yeah, I dropped this one, but I did give it 4 episodes, which is more than usual, because I just like, just give me the good ones and leave the fan service at the door, please. Especially because it is like, I'm assuming they're like 16 maybe, which is weird for me. I mean, I don't like a lot of fan service, period.
17.
But then when they're also like clearly minors and not even the loophole of they're also 3,000 years old, it's just these are just 16-year-old girls. It's a little weird for me. I just couldn't get around any of it because I'm not a huge fan of fan service anyway, but I can tolerate it if the content is still good. But this was just like, it was too much.
This is another one that
it's like borderline ecchi at this point, I'd say.
This is another one I'm having the issue that one of you brought up earlier about Komi-san, where it's like, how do they keep this going for so long? Is I've only watched the first 2 episodes, but I am wondering, this is a show that even after the first 2 episodes, I was like, this will maybe get stale for me if by the end of episode 12, it's still the same thing. And I don't know if just her ignoring the ghosts is like enough to keep me going with this one. I want to enjoy it though. I was just going to say this
series suffers from it started because the dude made a one-off. And the one-off like sold really well, so they're like, we want you to make a full-length thing. And he started publishing one before he had like a story. So it's a lot of just sketch stuff in the beginning.
I gotcha.
They, at least in the episodes that I watched, to kind of answer your question, that's essentially what it is for those first 4, but you get the occasional, like, the one sketch, like, the ghost at least thinks that Maruko's looking at it, and then you get a little bit of, like, tension there, because it isn't just the ghost saying, look at me, over and over again. It actually thinks that it's been seen, so then you get a little bit of tension there. But yeah, for the most part, it is just ghost is there, it repeats its signature phrase over and over again as she ignores it, and then eventually it goes away.
Yeah, I think I think the monster designs are good too. Like, I think this show has, like, whoever's directing it understands the, like, how to direct a tense scene when they start doing, like, close-ups and the eerie music comes in. But yeah, I guess there's too many other things detracting the attention that it's hard to come to terms with this show.
Oh man, I just thought of the scene in the bathroom and I was like, I don't need this either.
Yeah, I think it's probably worth mentioning that the director and studio are the director and studio of Interspecies Reviewers.
Important context.
Yeah.
And now it's all starting to make sense.
Yeah, I definitely had the concern about it being the same joke over and over again, and it is. And that's a bit much already, and then the fan service on top of it does not help. So, yeah, it can be funny occasionally, and it can even be touching occasionally, and it has some good grotesque monsters, but it's definitely on the fence about whether I'll keep it, and it has a pretty good chance of getting dropped.
This is one of those that it tricks me, because anime is meant to make people read the manga, but usually it's like you watch it and you enjoy it and then you read the manga. This might be the case of, I watched it, it didn't do it for me, so I'll read the manga instead. So I guess they kind of still
that
did
is
the
a good
job.
segue.
Yeah.
DJ.
Oh, okay, go. Sorry.
Did you have such an experience this season?
Uh-oh. Oh,
About dropping something?
are we talking about Blue Period?
Is this Muv-Love?
Oh.
Yeah,
Are we talking about
do you
Muv-Love?
have an
Okay.
experience of an adaptation making you want to consume the source material because of how bad it was?
Yes. Well, yes and no. That is not why I started consuming the source material for Muv-Love. I, unlike you, I don't hate the anime.
Okay.
It's definitely not great right now because not much has happened. But in the one episode that shit did happen, which apparently isn't in the source material at all, I liked that a lot. I thought it was serious tonally and kind of what I expected from Muv-Love. I'm sure it'll get a lot more serious once I have actual attachment to the characters. But that was where my issue lied. I realized I'm going into one of the most heartbreaking, fucking just nightmare-inducing series out there, and it's only going to get like 24 episodes, and that's not enough to kill me.
I thought it was 12.
Well, it's 12 for this. I think it's already confirmed for another 12 more.
Oh, okay.
This, from what I understand, and again, I have not played Alternative yet, but this is like, I guess, the training arc, and then it's like the serious arc or something. I don't know how it works, but it is getting a continuation after these 12.
Okay.
Even with 2 cores, though, it's not enough because visual novel adaptations on their own are tough to do correctly, and this is a long fucking game. And it's become apparent in just the first few episodes of this adaptation that they're already referencing stuff from the very early game that's not even going to be in this anime adaptation. So it was just a whole combination of stuff that made me be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna finally play this critically acclaimed visual novel that I know that I will love and that I've wanted to play for years. And it's, I guess, just having an anime come out was the push I needed to get me into it, because now I'm at the point where I kind of want to drop the anime because I don't want the anime to spoil the visual novel for me.
This sounds like exactly what happened to me with Higurashi like last season, so I totally get this.
Oh god. Sotsu didn't happen. That's it doesn't exist. It's I've forgotten about it already. Muv-Luv though, the anime, as someone who hasn't played the visual novel in its entirety but has played some of it, already doesn't stack up, but it's not the worst ever, and I'm sure that opinion of mine will change once I know what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. So the title itself kind of confuses me with alternative in there. Is the visual novel a sequel to another visual novel, or is like where are we canonically here, I guess?
I'll let Kestrel handle this.
Yeah, so I guess I should mention I have played all of the visual novels.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, which is like 100 hours of content.
So that's why this is at the bottom of your list, I see.
It doesn't help, I can tell you that. But, well, okay, I'll explain what the situation is in the first place. So, Muv-Luv is a visual novel split into two halves. The first is Muv-Luv Extra, which is like a generic slice of life harem. And then the second is Muv-Luv Unlimited, which is, this isn't spoiling, I'll just say, takes place after the events of Extra, but the protagonist just wakes up in an alternate reality where these alien monsters are attacking and they're at war. Humanity's been like mostly wiped out, and they pilot mechs to fight them. And the same characters appear, and they have some of the same kind of relationships, but it's a very different context, very different tone. And then that gets to a certain point, which is spoiled in not the first episode, the beginning of the second episode of the alternative anime, but so out of context it doesn't mean anything if you aren't aware of it. But it gets to a certain ending to the story, and then Muv-Luv Alternative is the sequel visual novel, which is longer than both of those combined. And again, this isn't really spoiling anything because it is the beginning of the anime adaptation as well, which is, it starts with he wakes up back at the beginning of Unlimited again. So it's the same universe that took place in, but he went through a bunch of these events already. So he has knowledge of what's going to happen and ideas of how he could change it to not have the outcome that Unlimited had. So the alternative is by far the more acclaimed of the two, even if you just separate Unlimited, or if you just separate out Unlimited, Alternative is still much more acclaimed. It's been the #1 highest rated visual novel on the Visual Novel Database, as far as I can tell, forever.
That sounds right.
Yeah, for at least the 10 years that I've known about that website. So yeah, 10 years untouched at the very least. And so, there's a lot to adapt with 100 hours of content, and there might not be that much motivation to adapt, especially Extra, but even anything before Alternative, really, because that's when it gets really good. So this is just adapting Alternative, which is a problem, because that means that the entire series so far has been the protagonist being like, hey guys, you remember that thing that happened back in the other games? You guys played those games, right? So that's the whole show so far.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, it is very confusing. I would think it would be even worse if you hadn't played the games. I am coming from it, or coming at it from a place where I know what it was like originally, and I know the context that you had originally and how it was executed. And I, one, didn't think it would work as an anime, period. Two, didn't think it would work as just Alternative on its own. And I am even more disappointed by the result. of the adaptation so far. I think it is a very poor production all around.
So this is the first anime adaptation of anything from the VN?
Yes. There have been adaptations of light novel spin-offs from the universe, but they don't contain any of the same characters or stories.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
I could have sworn there was like another, like, it was somehow related to alternative anime.
Yeah. So there's Muv-Luv Alternative Total Eclipse. That's a light novel spin-off of the Unlimited / alternative universe that, doesn't feature any of the same characters or stories. It takes place in a different country. I think it was eventually adapted into a visual novel as well. And then there was another one of those called some big German title, Schwarzenmarken or something.
Schwarzenmarken. I watched that. It was bad.
Yeah, that was bad. So, yeah, that's a similar situation where it was another like light novel or visual novel spin-off, and that one was, what happened in Germany in the story or whatever. So, yeah.
I think that's funny.
It has previously gotten anime adaptations of spin-offs, but never the story proper.
I think that's
I didn't realize that Schwarzenmarken was a spin-off until recently.
It's funny because like we come from completely different contexts for it. I only watched the first episode and I'm never gonna touch it ever again. But it was interesting because I have a friend that we usually watch like a show or two together during the season when we're not like watching some like backlog stuff, and he was like, "Yo, dude, there's this like new mecha show. We should watch that this season." I was like, "Okay, we could give it a try, I guess." And while we're watching the first episode of Muv-Luv, I was just like, "Are we sure this isn't like the final episode of like a previous season?" Because that's what it felt like to me watching it. It was the like climactic battle of a previous season, like the episode 11 or of 12 or something.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. Even if I had the context of it, like, man, that was just bad. I was not into that at all. It looked like, it reminded me of, I didn't watch it, but it was like an anime a few years ago called like Gate or something. Gave me like a very
Gate.
It gave me a very similar vibe where it's just like armies throwing big machines around, and I don't know. I was not having it. And I was like, am I supposed to be emotionally attached to all these obviously like main characters that are being killed in the first episode? I was like, I don't even know who they are. And
you don't need to, because you'll never see them again, and they're not in the source material.
Oh my goodness. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, what a very strange first episode.
What a weird strategy for an anime.
Yeah, like, I don't get who this is for at all. Like, maybe they're hoping for more people to do what DJ's doing. I guess that works. But it's not for new fans, and it's not for existing fans, and it's not going to be good no matter what. I don't get it.
It converted me, so
yeah,
I'm sure it'll convert other people.
I suppose so. Doesn't seem like they put a lot of money into it, so as long as that works, then sure.
Alrighty. Yeah, I see that's quite low on everybody's lists. It's fun to talk about those and hear about those. Sometimes more than the shows that are good.
Yeah,
is hearing about the shows that are bad. I kind of wanted to talk about Blue Period for a little bit, because that and Way of the House Husband are the other two shows I'm watching. And Way of the House Husband, all I can really say is it's still fun. The jokes get kind of old sometimes at this point, but each episode still gives me a giggle or two because of his smirk and stance scares the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Even though he just wants to bake bread or some shit.
I think Tatsu's like an amazing character, so like I love it. It's like it's hard to talk about the anime because it's like I'm glad it happened because having it voice acted is great, but like just read the manga. It just looks better. Even though it's like a motion comic is literally taking the manga panel and giving it slight movement, it just looks so much better as a manga. But yeah, still fun. I enjoyed that second season enough. Second batch, I
I've
guess.
only watched one episode of it so far because I'm going to try and pace it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though I think it's only like 4 or 5.
It's like, I think it's 5, yeah.
Depending on what you count as episodes. Each episode has like 4 episodes in it that are numbered individually.
Yeah, that did kind of confuse me. It was like episode 36, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to make sure my brother knows because he and I both like the first season or so.
Yeah, more of the same.
Yeah, but I did want to talk about Blue Period a little bit. It's actually the show I have the most notes for, but I don't want to take up too much time. I think Kestrel, you're watching it. Oh, and Bran, you're watching it too.
Yeah. No, yeah, feel free if you've got hella notes. I think this show is worth kind of examining a bit because it feels it's in a weird place for like
sort of
how much talk has been around it too. But yeah.
Well, ironically, one of my first notes is ironically the big thing that holds the show back. The show about art is its art.
100%.
Yep.
Which is not good, especially with I notice it the most in facial like art and expressions. Like the faces can look really rough sometimes.
They're really flat most of the time.
Very flat, or like there's not a lot of frames between animation of facial expression changes. Like when Taguchi gave his mom that drawing when he finally like was observant of how much she sacrifices around the house because working on art allowed him to be more observant of the world around him, and part of that was mom does everything and we're all lazy pieces of trash. Her face goes from like calm to like weird sob like immediately in a single frame. And it was a little jarring because normally I don't think I'm that observant, but I noticed it and I was like, that was really weird. It went from like flat unexpressioned, like expressionless to flat crying. But it is unfortunately ironic that the show about art doesn't have great art in it. One of the things I think I enjoy the most about the show, and I do really like, is I like Taguchi as a protagonist a lot, and I think that's mainly because he has a sensitivity and openness to being vulnerable about him that a lot of anime protagonists I watch don't have. Like, you see him cry from being happy and from being sad, and he is open to talking to a bunch of different people, and he doesn't really put on a whole lot of airs about things and stuff that I think makes him approachable. One of the kind of jokes is that he looks like a delinquent, and he was kind of a delinquent, but that felt more like because that was what was expected of him, and he was experiencing that typical teenage like nihilism about the world, which is what art helps him to kind of overcome and see his life and other people's lives from a different perspective. But I really like Taguchi's personality and his determination to continue getting better at art, and not just the technical execution of art, but also the way to express his emotions through art in his life and how he sees it. And he isn't just like every time someone kind of criticizes or he criticizes himself, he doesn't do like I'm just going to work at it and I'm going to be better because I love this. Like, there are parts where he doesn't understand why he's bad, and he has to ask people, why is this bad? I do not get it. He doesn't just treat every problem like a nail and he's a hammer, so to speak. Like, he asks other people, like, I don't understand. I made this painting that's a copy, essentially, of this guy's painting, but nobody thinks mine is good. Why is that? And he is beginning to understand that art isn't just putting brush to canvas or pencil to paper and making something that looks pretty. It's about the emotion you pour into it as an artist and how that communicates with people on the outside about your perspective of the world or the universe. And he struggles, but after having that big breakthrough when that one kid really kind of like fucked on him in that completely other teenage arrogant sort of way, that painting can be technically sound, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily art. So I'm really enjoying that facet. And on a more minor note, I like how his old friends are still around. Like, his old friends support him enough and got his art, and in fact, one of the first people to appreciate his art were his friends that he normally just does drinking and sports with. And I'm so used to seeing shows where the old friends get left behind. Yeah, they get left behind in one way, shape, or form, either because they don't get what the main character is doing and they don't want to, they're dragging him down, so the main character cuts them off, or they're just cast aside when the main character finds their new group of friends and their new passion, or whatever. But his old friends are still around, and they go, you know, they recognize his art and they go to that festival together, and they're not like, oh, you want to do art? That's stupid. Like, for the most part, they're like, this is what you want to do? This is kind of cool. So it's sort of refreshing because, yeah, I'm just used to seeing the friends get cast aside for one reason or another, but to see they're still around, maybe not as big of a role in his life, but they're still there, and he still enjoys being with them, and they're not just like some cancer he has to cut out.
That was easily one of my,
which happens so frequently.
That was easily one of my favorite parts about the first episode, is that, like you said, his friends were like always supporting him and like knew like there was something he was lacking in his life that he needed to do, and once he found art, I love that, yeah, they're supportive of him. And when his friend was like, that's Shibuya, isn't he? He's like, yeah, I can totally tell that that's what you did. And then he started crying. I was like, oh, that's such a feel-good moment. But
Yeah.
I agree that he's a very nuanced protagonist too.
Yeah.
Just because
it's great because it's not just baseless recognition. It's recognition by people he cares about.
Yeah.
It isn't just someone saying this is good, because I've experienced that in a way. Like, I've never done art on a canvas, but I've been in like theater productions and stuff, and having just a stranger tell you you were good or this is great is completely different than having someone you care about, even in a less, you know, in a less universal praising kind of way, acknowledge you means so much more. Yeah. Than that. And to see him experience that, and when the one character with glasses, I think, said, oh, so this is how you see the world. I was like, that was the comment. Yeah. That I thought really hit home for Taguchi, was they understood, they thought his art was good, but also understood where he was emotionally when creating it.
Yeah, just to reiterate a bit about, you explained perfectly like why he's a good protagonist, and I just wanted to reiterate that it is so refreshing that it's not like he's getting better at art because he's like, if I just keep working at it and I'm determined, I can do anything. It is very much he's a smart person, but he has those insecurities, and I love seeing when he compares himself to the other people in his art class. He's like, wow, I'll never be able to do art like them. Like, they're a genius. They're a god of art. Like, I'm trash compared to them. It's just like so real in the creative field to, no matter how good you think you are or how positive your mindset can be, that like those little things will start to eat away at you when you compare yourself to other creative types. And I feel like the writing in this show really captures that brilliantly. And I think that's easily the best point, which it's unfortunate because like the visuals should be also very good, but no, at least the writing has been very poignant and very evocative of the creative lifestyle.
Yeah. And I like his confusion about it too, because he is coming from a world where it's objective measurements, it's test scores, it's I got a 95, you got a 90, therefore I am better. And art in any creative field just isn't that. Like, there isn't, it's purely subjective. Someone could think your painting is worse than the other person's painting, and the other person's painting from a technical standpoint is lacking in any and all ways, but just the message behind it or how they received it is communicated a lot better. So you can't just yeah, you can't just work at it. You can't get a 100 on your painting.
Yeah, that's always been such a weird leap for me, is like art school and stuff. That is just, yeah, how do you quantize things like that? But
which they really get into in like the most recent episode,
Yeah.
about exam art and how it's kind of like, antithetical to the point of art.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that as well. Yeah, because it's like that in a lot of places. Because yeah, how can you be graded on something that is entirely subjective? And what does that mean? And what if I don't want to do still lifes? Why are you making me do still life drawings? I hate them and don't think they're very good art, but yet I have to be good at them to get into this school. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm sick of drawing apples.
Yeah, I'm sick of drawing apples and teapots. God damn it! I am curious about kind of the makeup of the cast of the show, and if that has any indication or connection to like the sort of socioeconomic balance in Japan, because a majority of the characters in the show are female, or at least female presenting, and Taguchi, up until he goes to the prep school, is the only dude that does art. And they bring up a lot about how it doesn't make money and things like that. And I am curious, I want to Google it sometime, if this is indicative of the art community in Japan or anything like that, especially because, yeah, it isn't a very industrious or money-making thing. And if it's like, well, dudes don't do it because the guys need to be the breadwinners, since that is still kind of a thing over there where women get jobs and they're called office ladies, and it's only until they can get a husband, so then they have the freedom to pursue art, quote unquote, so to speak. And I wonder if this is sort of a reflection on that, since he is quite rare as a male artist in this show in particular, because I think he's one of 3
Yeah, so far.
at this point.
Yeah, of the main cast.
So far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to see if that's kind of how it just is, or if that's sort of the way, that's just the way the story plays out, or what have you. Did any of you guys have a problem with the pacing of the show at all?
Yeah, I think the pacing's a little weird too,
Yeah.
Okay,
I felt
cool.
like they
I thought so
got
too.
to it really fast. It's like, you know what, he's going to do art, and now he's doing art. I do feel like they rushed it a bit, but I don't know. I just started reading the manga to kind of like go along with the releases, so I feel like the manga, it's easier to space it out because there's a lot more information you're taking in, so it doesn't feel like you're immediately like, okay, here's a technique, and then we're going to learn another technique, and now it's the end of the semester. It definitely...
Yeah, like nothing really happens differently in terms of how it plays out in the manga versus the anime, but it does feel like the pacing makes a lot more sense in the manga. And of course, the artwork is actually like really good, as it should be. So the manga is definitely the medium for this. I was hoping it would be a really good adaptation, but so far a little disappointed in that regard.
Yeah.
I think it's very good from a writing standpoint.
Yeah, because the manga is great.
Agreed.
All around.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I am interested. Sorry, I was just gonna say I am interested more about the Ryuji character, because I don't know I feel like it's difficult, especially with not only like the topic itself is already like a hot topic in our current society, but also the fact that someone needs to translate it at Netflix, and we have to discuss the translations and if like they're intended as they are compared to the source. So it's just like, I feel like it's such a weird thing to tiptoe around when you have to discuss these kind of characters,
which is already a problem because English and Japan have opposite rules about gendering pronouns, where English only has gendered third person and doesn't have any gendered first person, and Japan only has non-gendered third person, pretty much, and has pretty gendered first person pronouns.
Yeah.
So like there's almost no way to tell what the intention was.
That's what's so
because there's not a one-to-one
difficult
comparison
about it is like Yaguchi will refer to Ryuji as he and she at different times, and it's like, okay,
right.
Is it the context of the verb that is making the translator use this one? It's just like a lot to think about.
Yeah, I had that in my notes too. I just put Yuka, and that was it in my notes, because I was just like, how is this character going to be handled? How are they going to be presented? I googled them a little bit, and the wiki came up as gender fluid bisexual.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like she's pretty female presenting. Like,
yeah, I got that too. So maybe it happens later, like more like, especially because it feels like presented female and is romantically attracted to males.
Yeah, like she doesn't seem to want to have anything to do with her biological maleness at all.
Yeah,
it seems like just a horrible burden that's been forced on her, which is it's a great story.
They reject it entirely, but also still respond to the pronouns. Like he and she, him, her, essentially, and recognize their biological maleness. So yeah, it does get a little weird. So I'm interested to see how they handle that, or if, since I haven't read the manga, maybe they don't really do much of anything with it after that point. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, the pronouns don't really exist in Japan like that. Like, you don't say he or she. So it is a different playing field. And I guess kind of the way I maybe interpreted the intent behind the translation was that, like, Yaguchi was starting to actually respect her decision to be a woman. That was kind of the only thing I could cling to, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it seems like, she responds to Ryuji, but she doesn't like it. So all her friends call her Yuka, and that's what she prefers.
That was another thing.
Interesting character, definitely a good character.
Just a small note on the pacing again. That was another part of it that I was like, I thought this was supposed to be a character that Yaguchi knew when he was a kid, and it's like they weren't close anymore. But then by the end of the first episode or so, it's like they're talking like good friends again. So I don't know. Yeah, there's lots of weird pacing so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
that was definitely something that jumped out to me, and I was like, I can't explain why the pacing is so weird, because it's not really any different in the manga, but it felt much more natural there.
I noticed it most with Yaguchi and Mori's relationship, because it felt like you got one scene where Yaguchi talks to Mori the first time and references her talent, and then she tells him, like, don't just say it's talent, because then that sort of rejects any work that I've put into it, because I've put in a lot of work. And then we cut to
then she graduates.
They cut to she's graduating, and they're making art for each other and seem to have developed some type of bond.
Yeah, I was like, wait, is this supposed to be like a ship? I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, I was the same way. I was like, I like their dynamic that they have, because they're two entirely different aesthetic characters and things like that. But it felt like they had one conversation, and then they had another conversation, and like months happened between them.
Yeah, I think it is kind of weird how it skips through the months in that first episode or so.
Summer break is only 15 seconds long. So yeah, I'm still really liking it, and the art is unfortunate, but I think hopefully the writing will continue to be super good, and it will kind of overcome that for as long as the show goes. And then if I so choose, I can pick up the manga from where that left off. Because for me personally, if the writing is good, the art doesn't have to be super great, because it's about the characters and the experience for me, rather than it just looks pretty. So if it can maintain this great quality of like character writing and things like that, I'll certainly still like it and be cool with it. But if it goes downhill, it doesn't have a whole lot to stand on after that point.
Yeah.
I guess another thing about the manga, obviously it's good when there's good art, and obviously this is a series for which that should be even more important. But I think that it is a little bit nicer to be able to take your time looking at all the pieces of art they put in there, and they like credit every single person who contributed every single piece of art in the entire series, which is super cool. So they got a bunch of different people. They've got like the thanks and the afterword, where they've got like dozens of people who contributed to each volume. So yeah, being able to like actually see all these different styles and really take the time to look into the art is something that you can't really do in a medium of moving pictures. So that's another reason why I like the manga, I guess.
Alrighty. We are getting a little long in the tooth here, so is there anything else that
Long in
anyone
the
wanted
nose.
to talk about? Yeah, long in the nose. I missed that there. Good catch. Good catch. Is there anything else that anyone wanted to talk about real quick before we move on to recommendations?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, there's so much shows to talk about. Goddamn. Way too many.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, well, this is typically how our episodes for this
Right.
go anyway.
That's true.
we talked about our top stuff, we talked about our bottom stuff.
Yeah.
And then
That's
one that
fair.
was kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
So a
We
decent
did
variety.
we did our ranking of kings, if you will. Yeah.
True.
Yep. Nice ranking of noses. All right, well then, how about we move on to recommendations then, if anyone has any.
Oh yeah. So I have some recommendations of some streaming anime that I've watched in the past few weeks. One is Violet Evergarden, the movie, which dropped on Netflix. That is very good. And also a couple of shows from the spring season that I missed at the time. One of them in particular, I have no one to blame but myself, because I was told by multiple people that it was good at the time, but it got much better. And so those two shows are Link Click on Funimation and Odd Taxi on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I will be talking about both of those a lot in our like Best of the Year episode. So yeah, those three things, definitely check all those out, streaming in their respective locations. And unrelated to anime, but you know, if you're an anime nerd, you probably like Dune. Dune is good. Watch it in the biggest theater with the biggest screen, biggest sound system you can. Yeah, that's what I got. I'll look at some physical releases while you guys talk.
Nice.
I really only have the one, and that's to pre-order the Robot Carnival 4K if you can,
Ooh.
because I think those are up on all the major sites at this point, and I think it's being released in December sometime, maybe late December. But that's a classic, especially if you like short compilations with a lot of very prominent names. And I have no doubts that the 4K, like the mastering and everything, is going to be incredible, just like basically everything else that Discotech does in terms of this old stuff. A lot of work goes into it. So definitely pre-order that and get a hold of it. I'm not sure if a normal Blu-ray is coming along with it, or I don't think it's included with the 4K version, is it? I think you just get the 4K disc.
Yeah, but it has been released on Blu-ray, and that's still out there.
Okay, and it has is it working off the same restoration, just down sampled to 1080p, or is that an old scan?
I guess it's probably an old scan.
Okay, so yeah, this one with the new scan might not release on Blu-ray, not sure, but you can get it on 4K, which is dope, and I'm sure it'll look fantastic. So pre-order that and support Discotech and everything they do with all the good old shit.
Yeah, and just looking, I don't think I have any physical releases to recommend, so I will stick with the ones I already did.
Hell yeah, Discotech. I also support all of that stuff. I would say, besides the stuff we talked about positively anyways, I recommend checking out Heike Monogatari, which is the Science Saru show from this season. Good period piece, beautiful art. Naoko Yamada is the director. She's just like an amazing talent in the industry, so definitely worth checking out. Don't try to get too caught up in all the historical names and shit, because like at the end of the day, you're only going to confuse yourself more. Just like watch it, enjoy it. It's beautiful. Highly recommend that. And then read Spy Family and Chainsaw Man before the animes come out, because they're amazing. And that's all I got, I guess, for right now.
I'm going to tell everybody to buy and read Muv-Love because it's better than the anime.
Nice.
Even
You're
the worst
doing
part
them a
of it.
service.
Even the worst part. I'm still in the slice of life part. I mean, I am of the belief that the vast majority of the time, with like one or two notable exceptions, the visual novel will be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I liked the Steins Gate anime a little bit more, but that's my second favorite anime of all time. So
I think F and Clannad, which are also in my top 5, work better as anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, very good. Yeah, so Castro, if you want to complete Kate's duty and tell everyone where they can find us.
Even though that's also my duty anyway.
Oh yeah, you do it as well. You both do it. Sometimes I forget.
Yeah, that's always me. Anyway, you can find us anywhere you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Alexa, Amazon Music, Facebook, fandompost.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Fandom Post Radio and get in contact with us there and via email, fandompostradio@gmail.com. Go listen to episode 100 if you haven't. Share it all over the place. Make sure all your friends listen to it. We've read off the 80-something lists, so got a lot of people contributing lists. Want to make sure everyone's heard the full episode and everything. It's okay if it takes you a few installments to get through. It took us a few installments to record. So, yeah, go at your own pace, but please listen all the way through. A lot in that episode, and you will find out what makes us tick and what we're passionate about. And you can find me on Twitter at FullMetalKyoma. I linked all of my 10 to 30 years laters that I wrote about my top 10 anime in a thread with the episode shared, so you can refer to those for all of my extended thoughts on those top anime.
You can find me on Twitter at DJ No Style, and you can find my game on Patreon at patreon.com/lessonsinlove.
Nice.
And I can only be found here, so that just leaves Bran.
Wow. Right here. That's some exclusive content right there.
Mm-hmm. Had to pay good money for that.
Yeah. Hellshake Brando on Twitter and Instagram. There should be link trees on both of those pages to my SoundCloud and YouTube and all that other good stuff. So Twitch too. So yeah.
Nice.
Very good.
Yeah. So again, listen to episode 100 if you haven't. Listen to it all. And we will be back at some point talking about something, hopefully before several of us go off to Anime NYC. So until then,
Hooray!
Yeah, get to hang out with DJ again. You coming, Cain?
Probably not. I think I'll sit this one out.
Ooh,
But I hope you guys have a good time.
yeah. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Yep, thanks for
Peace
listening.
out.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.
Adios.